Hi, boys and girls. We're going to be starting to talk about story problems for the next week or two. What I'd like you to do is make sure you have your binder out, your math binder, and be open to page 125. It says discuss change problems at the top. We are going to go through this a little bit together, and then you're going to have some time to do your work. So for page 125, let's look at the top. It says, change problems. Sometimes problems involve a change happening. Either something gets added or something gets taken away, and then there is a new number as a result of that. If you look at letter A for an example, it says, at the park, 6 children were playing. Some more children came to the park. Now 13 children are at the park. How many children came to the park? So looking at that problem, if we look at the situation equation, what that means is, what was the situation in the problem? Well, there were 6 kids that were at the park. Then we had some more kids come, which means that there's going to be an increase in kids. We're going to add. Now, we don't know how many kids came. In the past, we might have used a box to show that it was an unknown number. In 4th grade, we're going to be using something called a variable. We're going to use a letter when we don't know what it is. So for this problem, I'll say C for children. So there were 6 children there, and then some more came. Now there are 13. So we need to figure out how many children came after the 6 were there. So in order to find that, to solve that problem or to get the solution, we're going to go 13 minus 6 equals 7. So C equals 7. That's how we would solve that problem. Let's try another one. At the park, some children were playing. Now 20 children had to go home. Now 30 children are left. How many children were at the park first? So let's think about that. We don't know how many kids were at the park to start with, but there was a certain amount of kids at the park. I'm going to use P to describe kids at the park. Then 20 of them went home. So we're going to take 20 away from that. After those 20 went home, there were still 30 kids left. So there was a certain amount of kids, 20 went home, and there are 30 left. So we have to think about how many kids were there from the start. Now, a lot of kids might say, oh, I know, 30 take away 20 is 10. But you have to think about, would that make sense? Would it make sense for 10 kids to be there at the start and then for 20 of those 10 to leave? No, that doesn't make sense. So to solve this, we have to add 30 plus 20, which will get us our answer. And that 30 plus 20 equals 50. Now let's think, does that make sense? If there were 50 kids there and 20 left, now there are 30? Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to do 2 together. So number 1. Get ready here. Number 1 says, one afternoon, 63 books were checked out of a library. That day, 72 books in all were checked out. How many were checked out in the morning? Well, I'm going to use the letter M to represent morning. We don't know how many books were checked out in the morning, but we know that 63 were checked out in the afternoon and that there was a total of 72 books checked out. So how would we solve this? what would our solution be to figure out what m is? Something plus 63 equals 72. Well, if we used subtraction, we could say, well, I know that 72 take away 63 is going to give me my answer. So if I solve that, oops, I get an answer of 9. Now you should have this written down for number 1. You should write the situation equation, and you're going to need to write the solution. You need both of these things for number 1. Once you've done that, we'll go on to number 2. Number 2 says, at noon, 70 students went to the school cafeteria for lunch. After 15 minutes, 19 of those students remained. How many students left the cafeteria during that time? So we know that at noon there were 70 kids in the cafeteria. We know that a certain amount left. We don't know how many, so I'm going to say minus K for kids. And then there were 19 of them left. So I need to think, okay, 70 minus something equals 19. How would I figure that out? Well, to solve that, I need to do 70, take away 19 is 51. So K equals 51. That's how many kids left. Situation, solution. What you're going to be doing for your assignment today is you are going to be doing homework 3-2. There's 4 problems. It says write and solve an equation for each problem. What that means is you have to write an equation like this. You have to use a variable and then solve it. Numbers 5 and 6, I'm going to say are extra credit if you would like to do them. It says to write your own word problems. If you don't feel like doing it, you don't have to, but if you want to, I'll give you some extra credit. On the back, now this is a little different, everyone pay attention. We are not crossing off the remembering page, but we are crossing off numbers 21, 22, 23, and 24. So you are going to do on the remembering page numbers 1 through 20. You don't need to do the very bottom section. If you have any questions, let me know. Have fun.